Hey everyone, my name is Katie Williams, and ever since I was little, I have always loved helping people. I see a person in need, and the first thing in my mind is, what can I do to help this person? That's why I chose to become a licensed vocational nurse, where I can be working with people that are in the most dire need of support and treatment. I got my licensed vocational nursing certificate at Unitech College in Concord and have been working in the field for about 3 years. I've gotten to work with some amazing people and learned a lot of things along the way. So I'm here today to talk about the three core qualities that every great nurse has: compassion, multitasking, and empathy. There are many more essential qualities in nursing, but I selected these three because of my experiences I have had throughout my career. As I grow and learn more, my opinion may change, but I get on the job experience with these skills every time I step foot in my clinic. The first core quality is compassion. It's important to remember that all patients are individuals and should be treated as such. We are all just humans trying to find our way, so being able to speak on the same level as someone and show compassion for their unique situations really helps build that therapeutic rapport every nurse strives for. Nurses have to be able to make a complete stranger feel comfortable enough to share the most intimate details of their life within minutes of meeting you. So, having compassion, understanding, being patient, and actively listening to their issues creates a level of trust between you and your patient. In the last semester of nursing school, I had a clinical rotation at a small skilled nursing facility in Moraga. When we received our patient assignments, a classmate of mine mentioned I was taking over care for a patient he had previously cared for in his rotation. What he said to me will be burned in my memory forever. He said, "Oh, be careful with that one. She's bipolar, so she may throw things at you or try to stab you." I teared up after this conversation because he was talking so harshly about a person he only knew for such a brief amount of time. When I arrived at the facility the next day, I was sure to listen to the staff's conversations about this same patient as well. It broke my heart to hear that not one staff member had a kind thing to say about her. I overheard phrases such as, "She's so difficult. What a problem. Can't she just listen for once? Why won't she just eat her damn eggs like everyone else?" I should also mention these things were said directly to her face as well. But let me tell you, when I finally got to care for her on my own, I sat down with her for just 10 minutes. We talked, laughed, told jokes, traded advice, recipes. She was a truly beautiful and caring person, and all anyone had to do was just sit down and talk to her like a normal person. I cared for her 3 days a week for about a month until I got to meet her daughter. She pulled me aside and thanked me for being a kind and patient person and hugged me with tears in her eyes, saying, "I wish more nurses could be as compassionate as you." That was the exact moment I decided to dedicate my entire life to helping those with mental health and behavioral issues. I realized, as unfortunate as it was, that there was not enough caring, compassionate nurses in this field, and I was determined to be one. It may seem like a big jump to go from something as important as compassion and relationship building to something as mundane as multitasking. But performing multiple tasks and responsibilities at once in an appropriate amount of time is just as important. What's interesting about this quality is it is never taught to you directly in nursing school. They treat it as a you either have it or you don't kind of quality. Even though I don't necessarily agree with this, I can see where they're coming from. Multitasking is essential to being a nurse. There's absolutely no way you can survive an average amount of work as a nurse without learning to do 3 or 4 things at once, all day long. I know this sounds pretty exhausting, and that's because it is. One time, I was speaking with a patient about increasing the dose of his meds while I was filling said medication on my counter, on the phone with the doctor, getting the order for the dosage change, writing the verbal order for the dosage change, documenting the entire conversation with the patient on random sticky notes because I don't have enough hands, all at the same time. This is an example of a normal 90-second situation in my clinic. Now just extend that to, say, 10 or 24 hours because an 8-hour shift does not actually exist in this field. Sometimes a person can only truly feel heard if they are releasing their discomfort, fear, and misery onto someone else, which brings me to the last quality I want to touch on, which is empathy. When you work in the medical field, you see people at their worst, whether they're hurt, sick, going through a traumatic experience. So it's not exactly surprising when they lash out at you. It could be yelling, cursing, throwing things, grabbing you, screaming, crying. I could list it forever. But I always like to remember something a teacher told me. They're not mad at you. They're mad at the situation, and you're just the punching bag in front of them. So it's important to not take any of the hurtful things patients may say or do personally. Even if it sounds personal, which most of the time it does, you can't take it personally. Honestly, I have not had one day in the last 3 years where a patient hasn't lashed out at me. It can wear you down after a while, but then you get the patients that come back and apologize to you, although this isn't nearly as common. At work, we like to say we have a clean slate policy. This means if anyone's rude, mean, or saying hurtful things to you, all they have to do is apologize and all is forgiven, hence the clean slate. We're all human, we all make mistakes, we all have bad days, so why not just be kind to each other? There are a huge number of qualities that a good nurse embodies, far more than just these 3. However, based on my experiences in the medical field, they are the most important qualities every nurse needs to strive for. When I was interviewing Dr. William Quizmorio, who's been the primary addiction doctor at my clinic for over 30 years, he told me I was one of the most compassionate nurses he had ever worked with, and that my empathy is palpable, which just shows his amazing level of kindness and compassion. I believe I'm also fairly skilled at multitasking, but I'm still a new nurse and very aware that I have a lot to learn. I work hard every day to embody these qualities and provide the highest level of care possible. I'm constantly trying to improve my nursing skills, and I want to make as much of a difference in this world as I can. Thank you so much for listening. Here is my note card. Everyone have a lovely night.